Boom, psh. Hello, it's us. We're on the air. Welcome to the Crafty Boys. I honestly forgot. What do I normally do? I can't remember.
You say we're live.
And we're live. There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sleep, stroke. Who knows? Hey everybody. Welcome to the Crafty Boys. Dave's not here because he's a wuss, and but that's okay because Locke is here, and Locke is crystal clear in full motion video, and you can hear him. So hopefully,
what a novel idea.
This continues. How's it going, boys? It's been a couple weeks. I had to bail last week because I went and saw the movie Tenet at the movie theater.
How was that experience? Like, do they socially distance the movie theater in that?
Oh yeah. Well, they totally do. I'll tell you all about it after we talk about what beer we're drinking this evening, because I think we're going to be all over the map.
We are going to be all over the map.
So let's start with Locke, since you're the furthest away. Locke, what are you drinking?
I am drinking Omnipolo's Aura.
Oh my! I have to get my beer.
That is colorful.
Yeah.
How many batteries does that can take?
No kidding, right?
Yeah.
So this is a beer by Omnipolo, who are a Ontario brewery. On every piece of marketing I've seen from them ever, they always make a point of mentioning the fact that they are award-winning. So note that they are an award-winning brewery. And I have selected this beverage for this evening, partly on the strength of the powerful can, which, as you can see, is graphically very exciting, and partly because this is a sort of kind of a Northeast IPA type of affair that makes use of oats, and it's something I've been tracking for a while. Okay. Northeast IPAs have increasingly been making use of oats in the mix. The haze factor, I suspect, is probably helped by a little bit of oatmeal in there. But in terms of the flavors, again, as you often get with these sort of Northeast type IPAs, it sort of ranges towards citrus, kind of juicy, if you see what I'm saying.
Right.
They describe it as strong beer, which at 5.9% makes me wonder about them a little bit. But that may be me rather than them.
So does it say what awards they've won? Like, it says it's award winning, but what awards? The reason why I ask is because do you guys remember in elementary school you used to get those participation badges? There was the gold, there's the platinum, the gold, the silver, and then there was that one that everybody got, no matter, like, it doesn't matter if you could, had like 2 left feet and you couldn't run to save your life. Because I got a bunch of those. Well, and so I'm award winning in some way.
So I don't know exactly what the nature of this award was. I can probably look that up, and perhaps I should while you're talking next. But all of the advertising says it was an international competition, and that they were the top prize winner for beer from around the world. So, now, not this beer, incidentally. It was a different beer. I think it might have been Zodiac, which they also do. Okay. But
crack that puppy open and give it a taste.
Yeah, let's check this out.
I love the artwork on the can. That's amazing.
Yeah, pretty sweet.
All right. Now, I wish I could see it through your glass there, but...
Yeah, sadly, I do not have glassware because it all broke within the first month of my moving into this place. And so I am left with the very durable spun aluminum cups that... So... Okay, so the orange juicy sort of element is certainly there. It's a little bit more back end than I was expecting. It's sort of got a sort of a bigger back of your mouth kind of a flavor.
Kick ass. All right, Alan, you've broken yours open. What are you drinking?
All right, so I'm trying this one. This is a recommendation from Locke, actually. I think on our last show,
Really?
he told me that one of his go-tos was Blue Bridge by Spinnakers. So I went out and grabbed some. So this is it's a double pale ale, and it comes in at a shockingly high. I don't know if you guys can see that. 8.2%.
Yes.
Well done.
The IBUs are 36. Now, I mean, it came in a 4-pack, so I've already had 3 of them. This is the 4th one. Not tonight, but
That's
you know,
the dangerous thing about Blue Bridge is it goes back surprisingly easily for an 8.2% beer, does it not?
it totally does. But here's the thing. I have found that the 3 that I've had prior to this one didn't have as much of a kick as I was expecting from an 8.2% beer. You know, I felt.
I felt like it was okay.
Doing things.
Have you tried standing up?
Now, I didn't have the 3 in one sitting, so like I would have one night, one maybe the next night or whatever. But one 8.2% beer did not affect me like I thought it would.
And how
Okay, so
you thought you were gonna like grow wings or something, or like completely explode, or what?
well, I thought it would. You know, when you have a Thor's hammer, even if it's a small Thor's hammer, I mean, you feel pretty much done after one. Now, this isn't as strong as the Thor's hammer, but I was expecting to get at least feel a little bit. You know, I was expecting, there'd be a party in my mouth and everyone's invited kind of thing. And I didn't get that. But very good beer. Look at that color. Color and head. And totally quaffable. I mean, I could chug this whole thing back right now quite easily. I'm not going to do that, though. So, yeah, I give this beer a big thumbs up, and I'm going to be buying it again. In fact, as far as, like, pale ales go, if I was going, like, my go-to for pale ale has been Blue Buck from Phillips.
Right.
This is more expensive, I will say this, but I enjoy this more than Blue Buck. Definitely. So big thumbs up for Blue Bridge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shane.
Well, the beer I'm drinking tonight, I think we've had on the show. I'm not entirely sure, or we bought it for the show, or something happened. But basically, I'm drinking the amazing Stone Fruit Brute IPA. Brute. It is from Dead Frog Brewery, and I bought this a while ago. Like I got this a couple of months at least.
Wow.
Because I thought it might be something we should do on the show, and then I don't think you guys could find it. I don't know if something happened. COVID. Oh my. I just opened the bottle, it popped, and suddenly I'm in a florally hoppy heaven. Okay. Let's pour this nicely here. Has a decent head, a lot of bubbles. Oh, it's a lot of bubbles. This smells sweet. I can't really tell, but it's a hazy IPA. It's a seasonal from Dead Frog. They make
probably not available anymore if you bought it a couple months ago.
They no, that's apparently available between May and September, according to their website.
Okay.
Hey, Peanut Gallery, I have beer for you. Would you like some beer? Hand it over, as the Peanut Gallery is fond of saying.
No,
There you go.
please.
There is no please. There's hand it over. But basically, yeah.
No, or else, or anything
No,
else.
no,
I mean,
well,
The or else is silent.
comes later. So, as I said, it's very, very, very fragrant. It's according to their website, the IBUs are 24 international beer units, and actually this is interesting. I haven't seen this before, but their website says that it is the color of straw. So if you know what straw looks like, then you get a better.
I would say that looks
colors.
pretty straw colored to me.
Really effervescent. So let's give it a whirl. Oh yeah. Oh wow, yeah. They refer to this as their fresh and fruity IPA with juicy hops, real peach and apricot, and a bubbly dry finish, which it has. So one of the few beers where off the package you'll understand what it is right away. So
wow. Now I have to say something about Dead Frog here. A few years ago, I hated Dead Frog. Like I couldn't stand them. Like when they used to come to Beer Fest, and they stopped coming to Beer Fest a few years ago. But when they were going there, I used to sample their beers, and I thought they were. I mean, I thought they were okay. I didn't think they were anything special though. But lately, since then, they have been putting together some beers that have really been good. Like very surprising. Like they've gone from being, I think, one of the most middling breweries in the Vancouver beer scene to one of the best.
Are they confirmably a Vancouver brewery?
Yeah, I think so, or in Greater Vancouver area somewhere. Where are they located, Shane?
Dead Frog are down on. I think they are. Oh my lord! They're down in that place called where Dave used to live.
Everybody's going to know where that is.
Langley. In deep dark Langley, out that where am I? Behind me that way. Basically, yeah. So it's one of those things that I kind of, I'm very pleased about that they're a local brewery, but also that it is a beer. You're right. I mean, I agree. I remember we had some Dead Frog that I think we compared to Piper's Pale Ale. The old edition of Piper's Pale Ale, or was it the new one? Yeah. Which one did we not like? I can't remember. Do you recall?
I'm sorry, what?
The Piper's Pale Ale. Which do you remember we hated? Did we hate the old one, or did we hate the new one?
We hated the old one.
The old one. Locke, I don't know if you remember Piper's, but it was made by Vancouver Island Brewing.
Totally remember Piper's.
And I don't know what they did, but they decided to basically take a lot of drugs or something and destroy what Piper's used to be. And then they got acquired. Yes. Somehow they basically became a new brewery that was renamed Vancouver Island Brewery. Or was it called something else?
It was always called Vancouver.
Always called? Okay. Anyway, and they reformulated all of the beer, including Piper's, and they made it not suck. Because I remember some time ago, Alan and I drank it on the show, and then we had to drink it again a little while later when the whole reformulation thing was announced. So the beer did improve. And I don't know what happened. I remember liking Piper's like ages and ages
ago.
Long
time ago. Before
we developed the story on that.
Vancouver Island were pioneers in this scene. Like, their early product was, by today's standards, not that exciting. But let's face it, for craft brewing and doing something different than the sort of the mega lager, they stepped out early on that.
Really?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
The only thing from their old lineup that I miss is Herman's.
I don't know if I miss Herman's. I miss the Herminator.
The Herminator they still make.
Yeah.
Okay, and I buy it every year. Every year it
Yes.
comes out, I buy
Yeah,
it.
no. That's Christmas right there. That's
Oh,
how you know
totally.
Christmas is because you're drinking a Herman.
No, exactly. But
Yeah.
the Herminator now Herman's now refresh my brain because I don't remember what Herman's was. Was it this? Was it wasn't an iced beer? It was something else.
No, it was a dark Bavarian lager, and it actually was at the time it was award winning on the world beer stage. I don't remember what awards. But I remember they went on and on about how award winning it was, and it was
a bunch of awards. Well,
it was deemed by some I can't remember who, by some authority, that it was one of the top 10 beers in the world at the time.
Okay.
And so apparently, sorry.
So speaking of best beer in the world claims, I just discovered something that I did not know about Omnipolo. Is that they were actually this is actually a spin-off company in Ontario that's brewing Omnipolo. They were founded in Stockholm, Sweden.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, did not know that.
It was actually kind of amusing. Just recently, I was having several conversations about software and whatnot, just in general. And somebody was telling me that that they feared a bunch of platforms we had talked about, and it was amusing that they were like, "Oh, this platform is owned by China. I mean, the Chinese government's going to get involved and blah 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 blah." And then they said the same thing about two other platforms, and I didn't know whether or not these platforms were owned by China. I was like, "Yeah, China owning stuff. North Americans freak out about that kind of thing," But what I actually did is I looked up the platforms later that evening and found out that the ones that they complained about were all Swedish. They were all based in Stockholm, and I don't know why. There must be some weird psychological thing going on where if you are using an online platform of some design, that instantly you think of that it's owned by the Chinese government and somehow your information is going to be stolen. So I thought that was kind of amusing, just that
which is much worse than it being owned by an American company and your information being stolen by the NSA.
Oh yeah, well if there's an internet somewhere, I mean here's the weird thing: people are always concerned about information being stolen by the NSA. Yes, it's bad. Yes, it's terrifying. It's like being told to sit on a chair and somebody points a gun at your head and says, "Trust us." But the reality is that the best friend to any spy agency, whether it's the NSA, CIA, whoever, are undersea cables. Because we're concerned about information being transferred across, the internet in general. And like last week, actually, on Sunday morning, I got a bunch of calls saying, "Hey, our websites are offline." And I thought, oh, that's a bit strange. None of my alarms have gone off saying, "Hey, by the way, server problems," or whatever. What actually had happened was early on Sunday morning, a company called CenturyLink, who have a lot of fiber out there in the world and a lot of pipelines, and they supply data centers and all kinds of stuff. Basically like Bell, but not as big. And but big enough that when they made a configuration error to their firewalls, it killed like 30% of the internet. 37 states went offline, 42 universities, half of France, and a bunch of other Western countries in Europe, because they made a change to their firewalls, replicated that update everywhere, and then suddenly it blocked all this traffic that wasn't allowed through. So a bunch of people couldn't get to our data center just because the data center just happened to be, in their routing list of connectivity. So, but yeah.
Let me ask you something, Shane.
Yeah,
I need to ask you something. Backtrack a little bit. So you said that when a website goes down, you got an alarm that goes off to tell you. Is this sort of like one of those like Star Trekky like code red?
Oh yeah,
kind of
all
alarms,
the screens that in front of me go red, and the red alert thing comes up.
That's right.
Oh,
and you can hear Majel Barrett. Code red. Website is down. Last doors closed
in 5 minutes. Yeah, to be honest, I am so happy that when Majel Barrett knew that she was ill, and I think she had cancer or something, that she actually took the time to go, I'm going to go over to Paramount and record a bunch of vocals for the onboard computer in Star Trek. So apparently they're still using those for whatever.
Oh, wow.
I'm not necessarily sure if they're using them for the shows that are currently in the running, but yeah, you never know. I think it'll be kind of interesting that if 5 years from now we get another film with a TNG lilt to it, and we hear Majel Barrett telling us that the Borg are invading or something, which is kind of funny because that makes me think of, lightly attached to what I was saying earlier, that in the film First Contact, the Earth character is told that the Borg are who the villains are of the film, and she pauses and says, "Sounds Swedish." So you never know. Maybe that's why there's a psychological thing that we're just terrified of the Swedes, because there's going to be some sort of Borg-like race coming out of the mountains and invading.
Yeah. For sure.
Oh yeah.
Cross-country skiing and all.
Okay, so moving on, Shane, I got to ask you, because I think you're the only one, maybe Locke has, I don't know. You've seen Bill and Ted's 3.
So I went and saw. So here's the thing.
You saw it in the theater.
I've gone to three movies. I've gone to Tenet. I went to, I always say it Tennant as it's the actor from the UK. I saw the Chris Nolan's flick. Then I went and saw, what was the film I saw after that? I can't remember. Obviously not that memorable. But then the other night I went and saw Bill and Ted Face the Music. Now, my hopes and dreams for this film were very, very low walking in. I was not expecting a whole lot, because as much as I like Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, I don't love Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, and I watched it again last year sometime. And
it's a bad movie.
It was not great. You could see what they wanted to do, but it's like they got a lot of money, too much money, and then
if Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure was a 10, Bogus Journey was like maybe a 3.
Yeah. So I walked in, watched the trailers, the film came up, and by the end of it, I was pleasantly surprised. I think they realized what they had done incorrectly for that previous film, and here's the thing: the people that wrote this film wrote the other two, so it's not like these are unknown writers coming in. They've written the material before, they've created the universe, and then they've come back to do it again. And it's funny as hell looking at Keanu Reeves without a beard, though. I gotta say, that is just weird, because I'm so used to him now with his sort of long hair, beard / John Wick kind of flavor,
kind of look. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and that's the thing. So he's playing the older version of Ted. Alex Winter is playing the older version of Bill. And to give you a summary, which you can pick from the trailers, that they're married, they have children, one each, and you find out, of course, that Rufus has died, and the actor that sort of replaced him is his daughter. So the universe is falling apart. Time is disintegrating. They haven't written the song, and that's essentially the plot. And I don't want to spoil it because I know you guys are going to see it, but they do something with the script that I didn't expect, which I really enjoyed. I thought, because there's all this pressure on these two characters, and then they kind of flip that narrative a bit. So I enjoyed that. But overall, without giving away anything else, it's not an astounding film. It's not like, oh my God, this is like, suddenly we have something amazing to put in the Smithsonian. No, but it's a solid film, a solid story, and it does not do the fan service thing, which I really liked. I was expecting a lot more in-jokes. I was expecting a lot more... I was expecting, a Star Wars film in 2015. Nope. They actually just said, no, these characters they're 25 years older. They're not going to be, they're still them, but they're not as ridiculous. They're not as crazy because they've aged, and they've had to be parents. They've had to be, raise kids, and the princesses, of course, are there ordering them around like princesses would. So, but
so let me ask, and you may choose not to answer this if it's integral to the plot. Okay. But who is Missy married to now?
Does it really spoil anything? Not really, I guess, if you know who she gets married to, because it is in the trailer of her in a wedding dress very briefly. So, okay. Let's just say she kept it in the family. So she's married the two dads.
Whose family? Oh,
who is left of the family dynamic?
Oh, no.
There's one person, a younger something.
Oh, Deacon.
She's getting married to the younger brother.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
it's the same
adorable.
Actor playing Deacon?
No, I did look that up. No, it's not.
No. Okay.
And there's a couple other characters you run into that are not played by the same actors. The princesses, for example, not the same actors.
No.
I
don't think they were the same actresses in the second one either.
I don't think so either. But overall, I enjoyed it, and it does, for me, it actually washed a bit of Bogus Journey out of your mouth.
Good.
Because Death does come back. He's in the film. Thankfully played by William Sadler again, which is amazing. Which I would have thought he wouldn't have done it, because he's done some stuff since then that some actors be like, oh, I'm not going to go back and do a ridiculous play Death again, whatever. No, it's brilliant what they do with the Death character. Absolutely hilarious. So, but yeah. It, as I said, wash the bad taste of Bogus Journey out a little bit, and ends in a way where you're like, you know what? That is a satisfying ending. I'm very pleased. I do not need to see more. Which I then, just yesterday, thought, okay, I've seen the film. I remember there was a live action show at some point.
Yeah.
What the hell is that about? So I went back and watched this 35-minute retrospective of that particular show. So there was a cartoon series that had been created. The live action series had been created, and Bogus Journey was on the horizon. And they wanted the production company, Fox or whoever was doing it, wanted the cartoon series to lead into the films. They actually wanted them to be connected somehow. But the production company was also making the live action one, which really muddied the waters, apparently. So they had it should point out that the animated one was actually voiced by the original actors. But for only a number of episodes, because they then decided in their brilliance that, of course, Bill and Ted, the TV show, is going to continue. So we want to fire Carlin and the other two and bring in those actors to do the voices for the rest of the animated series. Which was the weird, I don't know. You already have the main actors in the film. Why would you not try and keep them going? I suspect price was probably the biggest concern there. Yeah. But again, overall, it didn't last very long. The show lasted for 6 episodes, I think, or 8 or something like that. and then the animated series closed not long after that. So not long after the movie came out. So yeah, I guess ultimately I'm very happy. I think that it is definitely worth checking out. Maybe, I mean, in the big theater, probably not. I mean, here's the thing: is that the day that it came out in the theaters, it's also has been released for rental on platforms. So yeah, we should do a watch party of this film sometime this week.
I would love
and go over it. And we could watch all three.
Cool.
We could watch Bogus Journey on 2 times or something.
Yeah.
But I'm quite pleased. I think that Alex Winter and Keanu Reeves definitely they did some stuff. They went out of their way, I think, to make this film a reality. So kudos to them, especially Reeves, whose star is, again on the, he had that burst of the Matrix, and then he kind of did a bunch of, did a whole ton of other films that really were not big, huge movies. And then John Wick out of the blue, suddenly Keanu Reeves has gone from being that potential action star of a young actor who then goes and does a bunch of other things and non-action things. And then John Wick, and it's like, I'm in my 50s now, I'm 30 years older.
You know what happened, don't you?
What?
He had a motorcycle accident. After Speed, he had a really bad motorcycle accident, so he couldn't do action for a long time because he was recovering.
Yeah, well, that, and as well as the tragedy. I mean, I can't speak for him, but I would think it'd be pretty mind-numbing. But he had a long-term relationship, and they were going to have a kid together. The kid was stillborn, and then like 3 months later, his other half died as well. So, and then I think he had a sibling die horribly as well at some point around that same time. So yeah, I mean, that kind of stuff sucks, and that any human being, no matter who you are, you're probably going to be like, you know what, I'm going to be Buddha now. Or not Buddha, was he Buddha? What was that film, Little Gandhi, Little something, let me look it up. You do not remember this film at all?
I have no idea where you're going with this.
He did this film called. Where's his list of films? Here we go. That's not Little Buddha. What's called Little Buddha? That was actually right. I can't believe I got that right. A film from 1993 where he plays a Buddha. Like, it's very, very weird. I saw it a long time ago.
So sorry. This is Little Buddha, and he plays Little Buddha. Plays
Buddha
as a 40-year-old.
No, 93. He would have been 30 something.
Oh, this is in 93. Okay.
Yeah, no, this film a long time ago. So basically, yeah. I mean, this is that's all I wanted to say was that I give it up for those two for doing the film. I mean, Alex Winter is more of a director these days and has been for some time. Like, he's behind the camera most of the time.
Yeah.
So for him and for them to both pull out all the stops to play characters they haven't, technically played for 28 years or so. You got to give it up to them. For them.
Well, you know what else I got to say here is it's so tempting to just ride the brand. There are so many temptations on the road to storytelling that get you sidetracked and into I mean, maybe you're doing rhetoric, or maybe you're doing analogy, or maybe you're doing branding, or maybe you're just commercially cynical. To actually commit yourself to trying to stay true to the story and to stay true to the characters and the world and everything it's hard work, and to actually commit yourself to that, I think, is it's rare, and I really appreciate it.
Well, and they had a lot of roadblocks put up in front of them. Studios wanted to see the Bill and Ted's franchise continue, but not with them. What they actually wanted was a reboot, was to recast the roles and do the movies over again for a younger audience. And they were like, no. They stuck to their guns and said, no, we are going to make this movie how we see it. And they even went so far as to basically get the funding themselves for it. And that speaks to them and their
that's a man does that.
Yeah.
I mean, it actually speaks a bit to the whole gentlemen of our era, of our age, and the films that we grew up on, where we've seen time and time again films that have been. Films and TV shows that have kind of been, I mean, I'm picking on things like Dukes of Hazzard, stuff like that were made into a film. The last Ghostbusters film, the one a few years ago, that had the all-female Ghostbusters cast, which I thought was a great idea. I was totally fine with that part. But it was just that it was a script that I was not a fan of because characters that were funny because they were their own characters, I find comedy really interesting. Slapstick comedy I enjoy as well, but when you merge characters to basically become morons, for them to become the joke rather than their situation being the joke.
The genius of Ghostbusters was not that it was a comedy. It's that they tried to film it like they were filming a suspense movie, but with real jokes, right?
Yeah, and that's not what that Ghostbusters film was. And people go, oh, people didn't like it because the whole problem with cast and this, that, and the other thing. No, sure, there are people that didn't like that, but
you could have done a Ghostbusters movie where you believably turned
Exactly.
all of those characters female and stayed true to the original vision, which is that this is a suspense movie, but with real jokes, right?
Yeah, and it's fortunate that it just doesn't seem to be a thing, and it's like the film 40-Year-Old Virgin, which was huge and was a big deal, and I hate it. I did not like, because it was that style of comedy that I'm just not into, where the situations are so ludicrous and so disconnected from reality. I don't mind those types of films once in a while, but
it's comedy as genre rather than comedy because it's funny.
Exactly, yeah. So screw those guys, and hopefully they don't make any more of those garbage films. But I damn well know they will, because they probably make money. I mean, hell, I poo-pooed for a very long time the Fast and the Furious series. I hated the idea. I'm like, that's so redonkulous. What the hell? And then
you actually watched them.
Then I actually went, and my neighbor, who I went to the films with this past week, pounded on the door a while ago, and he's like, Shane, I want to go to see Fast and the Furious 8. And I said, I've not seen 1 through 7. I don't really know if that's really going to be my thing, but you know what? I'll go anyway. Because he asked me like a couple of weeks out, and I'm like, I can watch the things. So, Locke, you experienced a few of those.
Yes, yeah.
I was in one day.
Visiting you at the time.
And I got through all of them, and I thought, you know what? I actually kind of like these, because every so often you just want... It's like my big argument of, you just want big, large robots punching aliens in the face, and blowing up buildings.
Punching each other in
like
the face, a la Robot Jocks.
I'm going to get this thing. I'm going to kick your ass. I'll never forget that film. I kind of want to watch that film again, because it
Can you find it anywhere? I mean,
Oh yeah. I have a copy of it somewhere, and I have seen it on Google Play. Like, it's definitely there. I just think that we need to have, if we were to reboot anything, Robot Jocks would be it. Like just completely same universe, the same thing. The world is
RCA
ended now.
cables plugged into the glove.
Exactly, and that kind of.
Actually, you know what? Like I am passionately against reboots, but one that I would gladly watch, with this caveat: AC/DC has to do the soundtrack. Maximum Overdrive.
Oh,
yeah.
Maximum Overdrive 2020. That would be because
Honey,
the whole premise,
the ATM called me an asshole.
Totally 100% technologically viable. We know how it would do that now. We know why cars might start driving themselves, don't we?
Yeah.
They're I mean, you can already hack a Jeep Cherokee, right? Like, or any number of other vehicles. If a vehicle's got an internet connection, it's vulnerable. So now the premise all of a sudden makes a world of sense, and so that's one that I would potentially be up for.
Now, I actually know this has been discussed before. I gather Stephen King brought it up at some point. And I gather, and that's actually been, and I'm trying to find the article that I saw. Yeah, here we go. So there has been a discussion about the film being done, and but it's more of a being pushed by his fan base, and he's saying it could happen. You never know. Why not? So yeah, I mean, this is the thing, but the discussion has always been around exactly what you just said, which is about AC/DC having to do the. Quite honestly, they could do exactly the same music.
Could they get Emilio Estevez? Do you think?
Oh, you would want an Emilio Estevez.
Oh, you gotta
cameo at the very least,
and you gotta have the truck with the gremlin face on it. You gotta
gotta do that. Yeah.
You know what? Maybe just take the old movie and just change something in it, and make a director's
special edition
and just put that out.
Yeah. No,
special edition.
I'm kind of with you there. Like how much? So for all of how much of the premise that we see in the original Maximum Overdrive is absolutely true to life today. Now, it's one of those situations. It's sort of like where the science fiction of your youth, you suddenly realize that you've lapped it. Okay, so cars actually can be controlled from remote by potentially an artificial intelligence. Can that happen today? Yep. Is it plausible that it all gets sorted out by nuclear missiles on satellites, and that we're at war with the Russians? Maybe. There's a lot there that. Lot to chew on.
I agree. So, any other news there, boys? I've been following any beer news specifically?
No, I've been kind of off the grid.
Oh, that's right. You were camping this last, right? Of course.
Yeah, so I've been away. I have not been following a darn thing. I did look at Google before we went on here. Nothing really stuck out at me.
The only really big news that I was following was the cancellation of basically beer fests all across the country.
Yeah.
That have all fallen to the COVID thing. Any COVID stories you guys have experienced? How was camping out in the woods? Away from COVID?
Camping was busy. I mean, the campgrounds are full. I mean, chock-a-block. People using the facilities are not exactly being the most COVID-friendly people, it would seem. But, I mean, as long as you keep to yourself, everything's fine.
I actually had some disturbing news a couple of days ago.
Oh.
An ex-girlfriend of mine was found dead in her apartment, and they think that it was potentially a COVID thing.
Oh my
I
God.
don't. Nobody's confirmed that, but
Who?
that would be the first person I actually know who's actually died of COVID-19. So that would be a little bit sort of, eye-opening.
Also.
Yeah, totally. Wow.
She was 2 years younger than I.
Oh, sorry, man. That's awful.
That sucks.
It is pretty awful. We hadn't stayed in touch. I heard this from a friend of a friend kind of thing, but yeah. So there you go.
But it is. But that actually kind of points out to the danger.
But it
of
does
this,
sort of
right?
remind you that this isn't just a bunch of people wearing masks because it's fucking ridiculous.
Well, exactly, and that's the scary part is that we have people still denying that this is a thing.
Oh, they think that it's just the flu.
Yeah.
Right.
Which 6 months ago, people thought this is just like a flu, right? Well, yeah, okay, but at the time, the medicine was like, yeah, it's kind of like the flu. We're still researching it though. We'll study it a bit more and see what happens. I mean, we now, just last week, was it last week before, the reinfection? A gentleman from Hong Kong had COVID a couple of months back. He recovered from it. He traveled to Spain to vacation. He came back, and when he got back, he was tested because he had crossed the border. So they wanted, it's kind of a thing. You'd get tested, and he had it again. He had a different strain. He didn't have any symptoms of it, like he wasn't feeling ill. But they said, yeah, no, you've come back positive. And so they basically threw him into a hospital and said, you've had it twice. We need to know everything about you right now. And so they took that particular virus that he had and sequenced it and all that kind of stuff and found out that, yeah, it was very similar, but definitely had mutated and was different. And
the herd immunity thing that some countries are maybe kind of like basing their entire health plan around is kind of in question right now. I think it's question if you do build up an immunity, does it last very long, or is it like full? You are susceptible to get it again, and so the whole herd immunity thing is not really a valid solution at this point.
So Alan, you probably know more about this than I do, but there are different R rates for viruses. So that's the communicability, right?
Yeah.
But then there's the rate of mutation. That is to say, the rate at which it changes into a different strain of that virus. I mean, this is called novel coronavirus because we've never seen it before, so we don't know much about it. Yeah. Do you know anything about the extent to which, do you have any idea how quickly this thing is mutating as compared to other viruses? No,
that information is not being shared with healthcare workers at this point. I would say it's probably because they don't really know themselves.
They don't really know themselves. Yeah, probably right.
Well, that's the big thing, and I was reading yesterday because I searched for that when I heard about it last week about mutation and COVID, and now I don't understand this system at all, but the calculation that is made for mutation is like 0.02 for a novel virus. So the viruses in that family, they mutate quite readily compared to us, because we are the mutation of humans and blah 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 is like 0.000001 or something. So it adapts much faster than we ever can, or ever would. So there's all these issues around that. I mean, it's like the flu virus. The flu virus mutates like every 5 minutes, it seems. So, but it doesn't necessarily, we have some immunity to it if you've ever had the flu before. And that's what that guy in Hong Kong apparently experienced, was that his antibodies were able to do a bit to keep it at bay, but what didn't mean he wasn't contagious, and didn't mean he wasn't going to get it again or have symptoms again because of how he could have. The thing in the article, or the couple of the articles I was reading, basically assumed that if he was unhealthy, like if he had an incredibly suppressed immune system, getting it again might have made him ill again. So, blah 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 blah. So there's all kinds of stuff going on, but basically, wear a mask and stay home. Which reminds me, going to the movie theater, the experience that I had going there for. Because that was one of the foremost things on my mind was, am I being a moron going to the movie theater? And the movie theater, Landmark Cinemas, I don't know if they're a chain across the country, but they were very good about what they were doing. They basically allowed you to touch 0 things until you got to the concession thing.
Oh.
So if you walked in, you showed them your ticket thing on the phone, then they would turn around, they would print out the tickets for you, where normally you'd go and like type stuff in. Then they didn't even give you paper. They were just like, you're done, you're all good, go. So then they sent you in. You could either go directly to the theater, or you could go to the concession, typical thing, 2 meters apart, yada yada yada. In the theater, they show you this sort of video thing at the very beginning of what they're actually doing. For Landmark, they're cleaning the bathrooms every 30 minutes. They wipe them all down, hose them down. They have that special device thing, that fogging machine thing, which sprays a mist of antibacterial whatever, or not bacterial, but whatever the hell it is.
The antiviral, yes.
Antiviral. I forgot exactly what they didn't explain it, but I remember hearing about it on the news as well.
Yeah.
But essentially, which they use it in planes. That's where the planes are. So the film, you go in, you get your comfy reclining chairs. They only are having a limit of, I think, 40 people in a theater. So and you're like hell gone from everybody else. And then after the theater empties, they come in, they hose the theater down again, all the seats, everything. And then, so it was pretty well done. I have to say that, they said, bring a mask if you don't have one, we have one for you. Wear it if you are consuming food. That's the only time you should take it off. I felt reasonably safe, like no more or less safe than going to the dog park or going to the grocery store. So, again, one of those things where you can only do what you can do. Yeah. And I mean, going to these theaters though, because I went to one chain and another, I went to the other big one. It was the same sort of thing. You walk in, nobody's allowed to touch anything. You go straight to your seat. A lot of cleaning, all that kind of stuff. The same thing. We're misting the whole thing or whatever. So, So I didn't feel unsafe. I didn't feel like I was being stupid. I didn't feel that other people were being dumb. And that was the other thing too, that everyone in the theater, they were all behaving. Like everyone had their masks on. If they were having popcorn, they took them off, ate their popcorn, and then when they were done, they put them back on. So, it was well done. And so I felt that going to the theater, not a terrible idea. If you want to go with one other person or whatnot. But
Interesting.
But have you been out in the world? Have you gone anywhere? Like you're getting your beer delivered, you're getting a lot of things delivered, as we all are. Any experiences of heading out into the wilderness or the woods or the world in general?
Well, no. So I have done a couple of grocery shops. Okay. For me, I always try to make it sort of a bit like a heist film. Like I'm going in and I'm racing through the, like I've got, like I'll try to map out in advance sort of like where I know stuff is, so it's sort of like, so there's a plan and everything. And, I'm wearing a mask and like we all know that those masks are not totally as. I mean, they're better than nothing, but they're not perfectly effective. So I generally
not the end all beat all.
Yeah. So I generally don a bandana, so I look like a baddie, and so
nice.
I'm in there with a plan and a map, and I've got a mask on, and it's sort of like I'm here to rob the bank kind of thing.
Do you have a Mini Cooper
Make a game of it.
strategically placed somewhere out on the street for you to get away in?
Sorry, what?
Do you have a Mini Cooper strategically placed somewhere close by that you can escape to and drive away in?
I have had done, yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Mini Cooper.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta.
Hmm.
You have to. You have to have a Mini Cooper.
It's the rules.
Mm-hmm. That or a Jag.
And in the if there is like an audio system, you have to have some bluegrass on the ready to play. You know,
I
band
don't have any
like
bluegrass.
that.
That's okay. Thank you for pointing that out. I'll see if I can rectify that.
Okay.
Okay, well, I got nothing else to say, boys. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's one of the.
I'm not ready for bed.
Yeah, no, totally. I've actually taken the bulk of this week off. I've done Monday and Tuesday. I basically did nothing. Oh yeah, the Blue Bridge is definitely doing it, man. But so as always, of course, if you stumble across our little show, tell everyone about it. Do all the stuff that you're supposed to do on the different platforms by clicking on stuff and hitting that share thing. We do this for fun. Come hang out with us and drink beer at the same time.
Send us money.
It helps.
Send us money, yes. We wish to be rich beyond our wildest dreams. But anyway, thank you, Locke, again for being here. I know it is late where you are. And Alan, suck it up, man. It's only that time. Bye, everybody!